You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time holding these alligators down. Woo!
G5 Jeff TV, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Please share this video, support your boy. Support good content at all times. All social media is in the description box, and please hit that bell icon so you can be notified when I drop that heat. Now, after the reality show, which was the negotiations held in the public, Canelo Alvarez and Triple G is on September 2018. The rematch, and it's been so many ups and downs, twists and turns in this entire negotiation. But hey, guess what? It kept both of their names in the limelight while they weren't fighting, and that's part of the challenge of being a professional fighter. You have to keep your name on people's minds while you're not fighting. So they definitely accomplished that. Now, I don't know if it got done over the phone, via email. I don't know if they were all sitting at the table with suits on like they were mob bosses, or it was just a couple guys from each camp. They were at a dinner table and they talked about it over some clenbuterol cocktails, but they got it done, and the numbers look like Canelo Alvarez is going to get 57.5% of the purse, and Triple G is going to get 42.5% of the purse. And there's been some back and forth on if the 42.5% is too high, too low, just right. I think 42.5% is perfectly fine. I think it's perfectly fine for Triple G. I actually think it's a little bit higher than what he actually deserves. But that's not a knock against Triple G as a fighter. When you're talking A side, B side, you're talking money. Point blank period. It doesn't have anything to do with anything else. Doesn't matter if you think the person is a better fighter than the other person. Doesn't matter if the other person has a belt or whatever the case may be. More times than not, the guy that brings in the most money for the fight is usually the A side. Usually the A side. Hell, case study. Miguel Cotto, when he fought Sergio Martinez was the champion. He was the champion. What happened? Cotto was the A side. He was the A side. Not only was he the A side, he showed that he was the A side by making Sergio Martinez lose an extra pound for a middleweight title fight. That's just one case study reference, but y'all get where I'm going. Gennady Golovkin, he had all of the belts except for one until the last bit of the negotiations, where the IBF stripped him of the title. So he devalued himself by, number one, just saying that he wasn't going for unified. That was number one. Number two, I don't understand the IBF stripping Triple G, because if they're in it for the sanctioning fees, they're going to get way more sanctioning fees from Triple G than they are from a Danny Jacobs or Sergey Derevianchenko, who was rumored to be fighting for that belt. So I really didn't understand the IBF move. But that was one less belt. There was a legitimate fear that Canelo and Golden Boy was going to move on from the Triple G fight. And all the pressure was against Triple G for taking this 50-50 stance, strictly because he had mandatories waiting for him. Sergey Derevianchenko and Jermall Charlo. So he had no option but Canelo Alvarez. And I said previously that Triple G and his team needed business 101. I still believe that they need business 101 class. They lucked up and got 42.5% because Canelo was not in the strongest of positions. See, I don't think this was a negotiation tactic of you go high, the other person go low, you meet somewhere in the middle. I think Triple G legitimately thought that he deserved 50-50 because of this whole clenbuterol situation, and I think he's smoking that good crack cocaine. I think he honestly believed that. But Canelo has brought so much more money in terms of pay-per-views, pay-per-view buys, big-time fights. It's Canelo Alvarez. You can't argue Canelo Alvarez numbers. I don't think there's anybody in the sport of boxing that can get 50-50 with Canelo because Canelo is the cash cow. I don't think anybody can get 50-50 from Canelo Alvarez. It is what it is. I'm not saying that Canelo Alvarez is the best fighter in the world. I'm not saying that at all. Not one bit. But business is business. Now, we've seen other fights where the negotiations played out in the public. And, it brings out a lot of anger when it comes down to just fans and just people that are in the sport of boxing. It just brings out a lot of anger, a lot of different emotions. But I think this is part of what they wanted to build up this fight. I never believed that they wouldn't fight because it was just too much money on the table. And I said that in previous videos. It was way too much money on the table, whether Triple G was getting 35%, 42.5%, whatever the case may be. But if you look at it, Triple G started out, he was getting 35%. After he put up the 50-50 debate, the fight was threatened to be canceled a couple of times. And he lost his IBF belt, which theoretically doesn't give him a chance to unify now. Now he would have to beat two other guys to unify. All for a total of 7.5% more. So if he's comfortable with those circumstances in order to gain 7.5% as far as the purse, then, so be it. So be it. But I'm glad that they got this fight done. I think 42.5% is pretty much spot on for Triple G. Like I said, if it was 40% or 35%, I thought that was okay too, because Triple G brings a lot of eyes to a fight, but not in terms of pay-per-view buys and things of that nature. So, the first fight was a controversial fight. You had some people thinking it was a draw. You had some people thinking that Triple G clearly won the fight and he got robbed. Triple G and his team thought he got robbed. And there's a couple of people sprinkled here and there that thought Canelo won the fight. It's a really, really good style matchup. But even in the rematch, it's really, really simple. It's really simple. Can Canelo hurt Triple G? If Triple G goes into this rematch and determines that Canelo can't hurt him, and on top of that, Canelo doesn't have the best stamina in the world, then Triple G should be letting his hands go in this fight and should be pressuring Gennady Golovkin as much as possible and not headhunt. And Triple G would win this fight with no problem. But if Canelo can hurt Triple G, or at least get Triple G's attention, if Canelo can box and use speed and movement and throw combinations, you can't throw 1 or 2 shots against Triple G. If you throw multiple shots, if you throw 3, 4, 5 shots on Triple G is just going to cover up. He's going to cover up. The most that Triple G is going to do is catch and shoot. And very rarely do you see him catch and shoot. When you start swinging at Triple G, he'll wait till you get finished and then he'll start throwing. More than likely. So if Canelo Alvarez realizes that he can throw in combinations, get 3-4 shots off, move. Pivot. Get Triple G out of position. Use his hand speed to his advantage. If Canelo Alvarez can do that and find at some point during the middle of the fight to try to get his second win, because he kind of got that Jeff Horn thing going on where in the middle of the fight he just loses steam, he just loses gas, and then he gets his second win, and then he's fine late in the fight. So if he can find that maybe a round that he can take off to kind of get his breath and get his second win, and then get on through the second half of the fight, I could see Canelo Alvarez winning this fight as well. But however you see this fight going, I think we can all say that it will be a trilogy. This will be a trilogy, and I would be surprised if Triple G doesn't retire after they fight a third time. I think Triple G is going to retire off of these 3 Canelo Alvarez fights, these 3 paydays. Because to be honest, after these 3 fights, I mean, what else is out there for him at middleweight that's going to cement his legacy, that's going to guarantee that he's bringing home a big bag of money outside of Canelo Alvarez? He could go up to 168, some solid fights there. He could stay at 160, some solid fights there. But they the hardcore delight fights. Triple G's 36 years old. I get it. He trying to get to the bag and he trying to retire. It is what it is. So I expect these last 2 fights that they're going to have is going to be the last 2 fights for Triple G. And that's why I never got into the whole Sergey Derevianchenko talk. I never got into the Jamal Charlo talk. I never got into the Danny Jacobs talk. I never really got into the Triple G moving up to 168. Triple G unifying with Billy Joe Saunders. I didn't buy into any of that. I think his main goal was to get a trilogy out of Canelo Alvarez, and I think they've succeeded in doing that, because regardless of what happens in this rematch, there's going to be a reason for a trilogy. If Canelo Alvarez wins, more than likely he's probably going to have somebody, one of them judges in pocket like he always does. There's always a fucked up scorecard with Canelo Alvarez. I don't care if you're a Canelo Alvarez fan or not. He always has a scorecard that's pro Canelo Alvarez, very pro Canelo Alvarez. And if Triple G wins, there's going to be some people that say that Canelo Alvarez won, or it wasn't as wide as the judges said it was. And then it's Canelo Alvarez. He's going to be taking a loss and he's just going to move on? No. He's going to want redemption. He's going to want some get back. And then they're going to allow the trilogy, especially if it's a good fight. And I think it's going to be a good fight. I think both of these guys seen each other for 12 rounds. They both know what to expect. Now, it's really on who's willing to take the risk in this fight. Who's willing to let their hands go in this fight. And that's going to determine the difference, because Canelo Alvarez is the quicker fighter. He's the slicker fighter. And even though I had Triple G winning the first fight, 7-5, Triple G missed around like 85% of his shots that he was throwing. He was missing a lot of shots. He missed damn near the majority of his shots. That's how good Canelo Alvarez was on defense. And he actually moved his feet in that fight. Canelo Alvarez just didn't let his hands go. He just didn't let his hands go when he was gassing. He was gassing in that fight. But 42.5%, good job for Triple G. I think he lucked up and got that. But, hell, it's way more money than what I'm making. Shit. I wish I was making 42.5% off of that purse. Man, I would fight 35 seconds and fall flat on my face and be out. And take me to the bank afterwards. So, big shout out to Canelo Alvarez, Golden Boy, Triple G, K2 Promotions for getting this done, no matter how long it took. And y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. G5Jeff TV, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Please share this video, support your boy. Support good content at all times. I appreciate y'all. Peace.